What is going on, YouTube people? Neo here, doing a little NBA deep dive today because I think the NBA market may have hit the bottom and is actually sneakily, at least some guys, might be starting to creep back up. We don't know yet for sure. And, we're just looking at the data and doing the best that we can, making our best guesses. But it at least feels like for the time being, a lot of the key players have reached the basement. Not saying they couldn't keep going down, but I think we're in the area that if there's something you're looking at, you probably either already should have pulled the trigger or you should be strongly considering pulling the trigger. So before we dive in, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff down below. And if you want to check out Market Movers, which is what we'll be using a bunch today for all of our handy charts and graphs, the link to that is in the description box, as well as a 20% off discount code if you would like to become a Market Movers member, all on your little lonesome. So, all that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. Talk of the town has been the LeBron James 2003 Topps Chrome PSA 10, which has been on the rise since the man himself, Gary V, gave it the old pump on his YouTube channel not too long ago, back on June 25th. And as you can see here, since June 25th, it has consistently gone up all the way up to 2,100, slipped a little bit. There are two sales here at around 16 to 1,700, and then it went back up to 21.2, which is actually a new high. I was curious about these two because this seemed a little strange. You could call it coincidence. I don't know. I will say the one is a very old PSA label, an old case, which a lot of people don't like and will stay away from. So maybe that had something to do with the low sale on that one. The other one, which I mentioned this on a previous video, the buyer had 95% feedback, which sounds good, but on eBay, that's actually kind of low. Most people are 99% plus, if not 99.5% plus. So to have a 99.5, like, it sounds good, but like that would, or I'm sorry, to have a 95.1% sounds like not that big of a deal, but that would raise a red flag for me, especially if I was buying a $15,000 to $20,000 card. So I'm chalking that up to that as well. I hate to have two excuses for two low comps on a LeBron Topps Chrome, but they're both explainable. They're not new labels. The one wasn't, and then the other one had a little bit of a seller issue, I think, personally. I know I wouldn't have felt comfortable buying that card off that seller. So, is what it is. But it went right back up again. And this was not a Probstein PWCC sale. This was just someone that had a bunch of good 100% buyer feedback and a bunch of transactions. So I'm going to chalk those two up to that. There is another one that's selling. I'm recording this on Monday night. There's another one selling tonight. It is already at 20-ish thousand, maybe 21. I don't remember. So there's going to be another sale tomorrow that's right in line with these three. So I think the new comp on that card is about 20K. And I'll be curious to see if it keeps going up from the National. So we've had this rebound. Obviously, LeBron Topps Chrome, at least in a PSA 10, you have missed the boat. We've talked in the past. 9s have moved up a little bit. 9.5s, BGS, have definitely moved up. The lower end stuff, last I checked, still hasn't. I have a PSA 8, but one hasn't sold in a while. So there's no fresh comp on that yet. I don't think you could find one for less than $2,400. Buy it now, last I looked, because I thought about getting another one. So that kind of seems to be at the bottom, maybe. We'll see. That hasn't shifted up a lot, but I have a feeling the next one to sell will move the comp on that at least a couple $100. BGS 8s are doing about the same. So I looked at a bunch of other players, including another LeBron card. I was curious about his paper Topps PSA 10, and this has shifted up slightly as well. So 625 is when Gary V tweeted. He mentioned it in a video that was specifically about the Chrome. So the Chrome went up first. This card was doing 4K in a PSA 10 back then. It spiked up to 4.5, so not a huge jump there, and has recently gone back down to 4,400. but it does look like it's slowly creeping up. It did pull back on the last sale, only by a couple $100, but it is up slightly. Now, this card's a lot more common than the PSA 10 Topps Chrome, and a lot of people don't. I personally don't love it. I could have had this in a PSA 10 or a Topps Chrome in a PSA 8, or I'm sorry, this in a PSA 9 for less than my Chrome PSA 8, and I wanted the Chrome. To me, the Chrome's the more iconic card, in my opinion. Never been a big fan of this card. Not saying I wouldn't say no to one, but it also, you can see the graph down, 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 kind of flatten, and looks like it's starting to take that turn back to the north. How about Kobe? 96 Topps base. Nothing special here. Pop 3200-ish. We're seeing a very similar trend. July 1st-ish. This card was, I ran these all 90 days just to give us a nice little clean picture. You know, doing its thing, going down, going down, going down, going down. Then July 1st rolls around, kind of reached its bottom at 2100. And then we see the next sale and then the next few of it slowly creeping back up again. Now back up to 2600 from a low of 2100. Obviously down a ton from the spring, but beginning to show signs of life. Maybe it drops again. It looks like we saw a similar thing back here in May. You know, it dropped to 2,900, then spiked back up to a little over 3, and then did its thing, but then started slowly going back down again, and then ended up dropping almost another $800 to $900. Maybe we see the same thing play out. I personally don't think so. We'll see. But definitely trending in the right direction for the first time in a long time. Even this one, it spiked back up. It was only a couple sales and then immediately started going back down again. This has been trending up for almost 12 days now. So a little bit different from the previous pattern that we saw before. Let's shift into stuff a little bit more modern. Luka. Silver, PSA 10 and PSA 9. Once again, downward trend for the last 90 days. No surprise there. But same thing. We get around early July here, and you see a few sales with this card beginning to tick back up again, and that trend line going in the upwards direction, not the downwards direction. It looks like this bottomed out at 4,200, with the last sale being 4,350. So not huge amounts here, but it's more about just the general trend and pattern. You can see it might be starting to flatten out a little bit and then slowly start going back up. Maybe it dips back down again. Once again, we don't know, but we're 2 months since he got bounced. Month and a half. I don't remember the exact day when they got eliminated. The playoffs started June 1st. So a little under a month, I guess. But still, looks like it might be showing signs of life. And here's the thing, you know, if the Mavs do anything in the offseason that's Spicy Town, it's going to cause a spike in his cards. If they somehow, I don't think they will. I don't think they have the firepower for it. Like if they pulled off a Dame Lillard trade or something like that, you know, would that cause, I mean, that would obviously cause his value to probably skyrocket, to be quite honest, at least temporarily. So once again, Luka maybe has hit the bottom. Let's look at some more. John Morant, as we move into John Zion, I don't know that they're there yet. Same thing, 90-day charts, trending down. Then we didn't really have sales for a while. This sold on 625, and this is his PSA 10 silver. And another one didn't sell for almost 2 weeks. It went from 625 to 611, and it went from 1390 to 1325. And then another one sold a couple days, or the next day at 1200. So we'll see how this keeps going. I did notice, though, that the PSA 9 has kind of bottomed out here and is actually slowly ticking up a little bit. His PSA 9 silver is all the way down to $300. It just seems insane to me when you think about what these cards were going for. And that's in a 9. So keep an eye on this one as well, but it does look like the prices are holding a little better. They are not going down nowhere near as fast. How about Zion? Interesting one here, as he actually spiked back up, leveled out at kind of a new higher number here in June. And then once again, we didn't have a sale for a while, 7.6 to 7.11, and then it dipped down to 2,500. Now, I will say, once again, not to kind of like make an excuse for this, but this was the classic, I'm going to auction off 3 of the same card and all have them end at the same time. So you could see ended at 10:29, 10:30, 10:31, 1 minute apart. Why you would do this, I have no idea. The first one sold for the most, and then the next 2 sold for the same amount. So 26, 27, 25, 25. If that was just one card, I would have been curious to see what they went for. I have no idea, especially because that was all the same seller. And I don't think it was PWCC or Probstein. It was just a guy on his own. Why in the hell would you end all those cards at the same time? Do not do that. Spread them out, even if it's just by an hour. But I would personally do it separate days. I would do one day, one the next day, one the next day if you're that desperate to move them. Don't end them all at the same time. That's just asking for lower sales on at least one of them. Someone's going to get a deal. So maybe that has a little something to do with this. I don't know. We'll have to see what the next couple sales look like. So maybe at the bottom, maybe close. If you're looking to get in on one, and maybe you could take advantage and say, hey, last comps were 2.5K. If you're trying to get one, as opposed to the 3K that they were going for. And like I said, they could dip back down to 28 or 2.8. So this 25, this 2.5K is the lowest that card has been since the decline started. Chalk it up to the 3 sales ending at the same time. I don't know. Or maybe Zion hasn't hit the floor yet. We'll see. Once again, this is PSA 10 Silver Prism and PSA 9. How about Tatum? Tatum stuff spiked way up again. This was his PSA 10 Silver back on 622 for 1.6K, and then it spiked up to 2.1, and then went down a little bit to 2. That was just on July 9th. We haven't had another one sell yet, so maybe hit the bottom. Don't know. His PSA 9 has not seen a spike yet, so if you believe in the jump, the PSA 9 for around 550 could potentially be a decent deal. And once again, these are pretty low pop cards. PSA 10, there's only 715 of them. PSA 9, there's only 429 of them. So not too shabby. And also, this card did not take as big of a dip. If you look down here, only 14% dip on the PSA 10. Now, he got eliminated a little bit earlier, but still, a lot of people were factoring in the fact that the Nets were going to lose, or that the Celtics were going to lose to the Nets pretty much right when that series started. So he had his dip kind of started a little bit earlier, but he has rebounded quite nicely here the last 3 to 4 sales over the last few weeks. So we'll see where the next one goes, but you may have already missed the window at 1.6. Seems like a pretty good deal on that card when it's only pop 700. Trae Young. His is a little weird because he just got eliminated not that long ago, but we see the steep incline here from the middle of the Eastern Conference Finals. On 630, it was 1,500. It dropped all the way down to just over 1K. That was the low point, $1,081. And then we could see it spiked back up to 1,100. So we'll have to see where the next couple go from there. But this was an all-time low for this. Not an all-time low, but the lowest this card has been in a really long time at 1081. And then it immediately spiked back up again. So we'll have to see where it goes from here. But maybe Trae's pulling out of it a little faster than some of the other guys. I don't know. He looked absolutely fantastic in the Eastern Conference Finals, even though that they lost in the series before that. We'll see where it goes. But once again, potentially maybe at the bottom there at 1,000. And I could kind of see this card not going below 1K. I could see people, having rules in place saying like, hey, if this card gets to 1,000, I'm buying all day long because that's too cheap for that card. So maybe it was a case of that. It started creeping down towards 1,000 and people started buying them up again. I mean, only a couple have sold, but I don't know. We'll see where that goes from here as well. The Joker. Very similar. 90-day decline, going down, and then right around the end of June, instead of it trending downwards, it kind of flattens out a little bit. Let's see. On June 29th, it was 650, and then on 7/12, it was 616. This is his base Prism. I had to use his base, not a silver, because there has not been a silver sale in a month. So it really didn't do me any good to have a super low pop card like that that hasn't been transacted to show a market trend. So I went with his base. This is only a pop 600 card. That seems pretty cheap. Not going to lie, for a guy that just won an MVP. And if they get Jamal Murray back healthy next year or at some point next year, has the potential for another deep playoff run. But to me, this looks like the bottom of the Joker market. If you wanted a Joker PSA 10 Prism at around 600 to 650 bucks, this feels like the time to strike if you're in the market for that card. I don't know that I see this going below 600. So keep your eyes peeled for one. Once again, maybe you're able to use the last comps to try to get one for around this price off eBay or whatever. But to me, this $600 point looks like the floor in my mind. I don't know that I see it going below that, especially for someone of his caliber and low pop, even on a base card. How about Embiid? Very similar to the Joker's chart. Once again, I went base here because not a lot of silvers have sold. Once again, fairly low pop count card at 1100. Same thing, downward trend, downward trend, downward trend. And then we hit the end of June, early July here, and it starts trending back up to leveling out a little bit. You know, we had this all-time low sale here at 363. It popped back up to 430, went back down to 400, back up to 465. Here's a 400. Here's a little under 400 and a 401. To me, this seems like around 400 is the floor for this card. Maybe it drops below. I don't know. But he, once again, was the front runner for MVP until he got hurt. Now, you're always going to have that risk with him. But getting into his stuff for around 400 bucks seems pretty cheap. I believe that's lower than what it was before the season started last year. I could be wrong, but let me look. Where was it around Christmas time? 280. So not quite, but you can see we've gone the full gambit here. This is all the way back to January 1 pricing, basically. So we reverted all the way back, and it's all-time low. I shouldn't say all-time, once again. It's low last summer or last fall, which was during last year's NBA offseason. Actually got all the way down to 216. I'm surprised by that. Wow, I did not realize it got that cheap. But from... it was up to 450 during the NBA playoffs the year before when they got eliminated in the bubble. So about the same time frame there, 2 months. We're a little faster than that this time. So maybe it's got a little more room to go still, but last year's trends were a little weird too. So, but yeah, that's all I got. Those are the guys that I pulled to look at. Once again, I could have pulled a ton, but I kind of wanted to pull more prominent name players here and tried to stick to silvers as much as possible. Had to use base cards for some of these. So what do you guys and girls think? Have we hit the floor for, I'm not going to say every NBA player, but for the NBA market in general? Obviously, the NBA finals are still going on. So the players involved in that still have a lot of fluctuation in their pricing to come. But from a general NBA market standpoint, you know, the rest of the 90% of the rest of the league or 95% of the rest of the league, I think we might be there. I spent a lot of time this afternoon prior to making this video going out and looking for cards potentially to make moves on, because I think we might be there. If we're not, here's the thing. If we're not there, I think we're close enough to there, because we're going to have the NBA draft very soon, and that's going to stir the pot because there's going to be trades. And then we're going to have NBA free agency, and when Woj and Shams start dropping bombs, that's going to shake up the snow globe a little bit as well and get prices to start moving. And then that's going to bring eyes back over to the NBA. And then we're about to enter, you know, football time. So maybe it drops a little bit more as money shifts to football, but that's been the big thing. Is money going to shift to football? We don't know. On some key cards, I am making a list of some very key cards that I would like to acquire. And I am looking to start to make moves on those now. But once again, if this isn't the bottom, I feel like, in my mind, I feel comfortable saying we are close enough to the bottom that if I buy now, it might keep going down a little bit. But sorry if there's kids listening, I don't feel like I'm going to lose my ass on anything that I purchased now like I bought last spring. You know, I bought the Lucas Select Premier last spring. I'm down like $500 on that card. I don't feel like if I buy certain Lucas stuff now that it's going to drop like that, if that makes sense. So we'll see. I could absolutely be wrong. You know, do your own research, do your own homework, make your plays. But I think we might be towards the bottom of the NBA market. I don't know. Time will tell. But I would like your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Smash the like button while you're down there, and we will catch you guys and girls on the next one. Peace.